What I want to go to next would be labels. This is an important one because a label is the only layer of the map that is not tied to the individual hex or square that makes up the grid. Okay, so by design, he is trying to put something in that spans many hex boundaries, might right over a town and all of that. So when you hit add, uh, you're going to come up with this label text down here. It creates a new row to the table, and we can back up and say, this is uh, what would that be? The sunken road. Those of you who are history buffs will know that the sunken road was at, I believe, the Battle of Gettysburg, and it slowed down Pickett's charge. Anyhow, the sunken road, what we want to do is place the map, place the sunken road on the map. So as you move the cursor around, where that finger is where it's going to be placed. Okay, so we've just placed the sunken road on top of the map. If you notice, and this is something that we can change, I have it below the grid, and I'm debating on whether that's really a smart maneuver or not. But since you've placed it roughly where you want, what you do is you select your label here, and then you can finitely move it to where exactly where you want this thing to be, maybe. Maybe we put it over here, back it up a little bit. Maybe split that those things on the, like that. There, how about that? So you can use these guys to finitely adjust them. This is an active field, so you can change his spelling. You should use the edit because he has to regenerate. Labels are not just text. The text itself has to be converted into an image, and you have the color of the back, you have the font, you have the let's just go change it. So if we hit edit, we have the default font, which is set up here. You have the font color, the back color. Do you want a border actually around this thing? So you have the sunken road up here. Here's the label text. As you change something, maybe we come in and say, let's make the border bright red. So our border is red. The back color will be, I don't know, let's make it something awful. How about if I do that and say, okay, let's come make it a really light gray. Okay, so he's going to be a light gray. And then the front color, maybe we'll make it a bold blue. And so now we have this. So when we save our, if you notice, our background is a light gray now. We have blue text and we have a red border. So you can change what those look like on the fly, and it regenerates the image based on your configuration and then saves it back to the actual layer of the map. Now, I know this is getting a bit long-winded, but I want to say you can come over here and turn that off, and now you don't see your labels. So normally when I work on maps, you build a map and you center on certain things. I first come through and put a landmass down and then put the areas where I want water and land to go down first. Then I add some swamps, and then I add roads, and then I figure out where well, sometimes I do roads first, but oftentimes I'll put cities where I want them and then connect them all with roads, which presents a problem because when you add a city, let's come in here to the towns. Okay, so you got lots of towns. You want to make sure that your town is on top of the road. So you don't want it to be below the road. If you did that, it would end up being this way, and maybe that's the effect you want. Do you show that, oops, I accidentally did that. What did you do? Oh, there you go. All right. So, my hand hit the keyboard. Sorry. So anyhow, you can go for this effect. If you want to put things like maybe it's let's go with supply depots. You can say maybe this is a supply depot for city, huh? So it puts a 4 on top of that. So that's maybe the fourth objective that has to be taken by your opponent. So these are things you can think of and add in. Uh, so pretty much I have come up with, I think there's 3,000 or so graphics, 3,500 graphics or so, and that's spread across the 3 different styles. So I have graphics, the same graphics for each of the different styles. So it's about a third each. So that pretty much covers land masses and building labels. The next piece of this, and this will probably be spliced into a whole nother video, are the classes. But before I go and do that, let's talk about just graphics. So if you come up to the menus, you have categories and sprite sheets. Categories are literally a category. The design of this is where it gets a little funky. Um, I have categories and for sprite sheets, and then I have sprite sheets. And for each type of grid, you can only have one sprite sheet per category. So I don't let you go create a bunch of categories and willy-nilly it all over the world or have 85 different sprite sheets of the same category or anything like that. So this grid is kind of an active grid. If you have no graphics in it, you can delete the sprite sheet. You can go ahead and create the graphics and load graphics into here. Or you can find it where it's green and you can modify it, but you can't delete it. That's all locked down. So here, what we're going to do is finish creating our sprite sheet. So rainforest, we're going to import tiles are all kept at 128. That doesn't mean that your tiles that we're loading have to be 128 by 128. It predominantly means they need to be square, and I'm going to resize them as they come in. So what I have is a rainforest set that I purchased from a graphics company on the web. And it was, I don't know, $5 or $3, and it came with a whole bunch of graphics. So I want to point out that when you're looking at this screen, you have a combo box at the top, which identifies what style of graphic, what kind of hex are we using. Now, the ones I'm going to import here on the video as an example actually are square. They are the rainforest tile set for a platform game. So even though I'm in a map that's a different grid style, I can change and actually import somebody else. So the idea here is that we're importing a whole folder of images. So I'll hit create. This comes up. At this point, you can't change that your category and grid are locked and everything on this screen is locked. We can import a folder. and I have them in the images, rainforest tile, rainforest. So I bring them in, and here are the tiles. So they're all imported. Everybody's cool. Everybody's happy. They're square. They're 128 by 128. I can rotate an image. Well, what the heck? It doesn't really matter. Let's take this and let's rotate it left. So we've rotated it left, and then we'll rotate it back to the right. So you can modify images. You can scroll down. This is all the images that came up. You can see how things will be built and assembled, and hit save. And pretty much everything's happy. It gets saved back to the database, which takes a second or two because it's an awful lot of image sizes there that we just imported. So that pretty much concludes the video for graphics, importing graphics into the system, making sure that your graphics are the correct graphic that you want to play with. For example, on this grid map we're looking at here, I can't, this sets what this loads with here on Sprite Sheet. So it's only going to load the horizontal hexes here. So anyhow, that's basically the whole overview for the graphics side of this. And that will conclude this.